Finally, the last seed was safely covered in the moist, dark soil. It made all the work seem worth it, even with the help of 2 kids who, well, made it a tiny bit, who am I kidding, a huge bit harder. But then there were the swimming lessons to rush to, and the lawn to be mowed over and over and over, and all the fixing fences and goats to kid. The warm weather made life just busy. And back in the garden 2 weeks later, there's a corn and a bean way under there, under the canopy of thistles, lamb's quarter, a vine of some sort, and the borage, which truly has gotten out of hand. And what in the world is this new weed? Oh, what a mess! How could it have possibly gotten so out of hand? Who has time to spend every evening from 8 to 10 weeding a garden only to turn around and have it taken over again almost immediately? No one. A garden needs to produce as much food as possible with the least amount of work. Is gardening hard work? Oh yes, but with a few weed control management techniques, it can be almost set on automation. The weed control, that is. Because once it starts producing, a whole new set of work commences, now doesn't it? Harvesting, canning, storing, eating. The first thing that needs to take place is a complete mind switch about weeds. They are valuable, and many of them are very edible and even quite nutritious. They have saved our land from east to west coast in the years of drought and when the wind assails. It would be well worth the time to read the article linked below. It's called "Why Does My Garden Have Weeds?" Here's why and how to fix it. The answer may be surprising. Of course, many people are avid weed lovers. Dandelions are great in salads, soups, and for the bees, they are absolutely a necessity. And many people use thistle and burdock roots, and nettle makes a nutritious tea as well. The uses for weeds is endless, but in the garden, they don't need to take over. Without weed control, weeds will starve vegetables for sunlight and will take the water and nutrients needed elsewhere for their own use. After the treacherous weeds have staked a claim in the garden, what can be done? First off, there are a few things that need to be done and understood before the gardening year begins to help with weed control from the very start. The first thing to do is to implement the no-till gardening method. This is a key factor in weed control. Tilling stirs up the soil and brings to the surface weed seeds buried deep down. There are many other detriments to tilling as well, so take a moment and read the article about tilling that is provided below after you have watched this video. Next, consider companion planting. When planting your seeds and plants, make the most of companion planting by keeping the spacing between the plants as close as possible. The green tint and the shade from the leaves tell weed seeds, hey, don't germinate, this space is taken. Something else you can do is to utilize cover crops. This technique has many benefits as well, including weed suppression. This could become a really long video if I went into the details of cover crops, but I do want to leave you with the possibility of as much information as possible. So there is a link below about cover crops if you really want to learn more about what you can use and how to do it. Water properly is one of those duh things. I mean, we all know we need to water our gardens, right? But knowing when to water is important, and when you do water, if possible, don't water the weeds. This can be accomplished by using a drip tape or maybe a soaker hose. And the last thing you can think about before you tackle the weeds at hand is to mulch. You will want to mulch until mulch can't be mulched another inch. please don't leave your poor garden bare, naked, and uncovered. She's much too modest to let that happen. Cover her, and she will be happy. Those 5 things all seem fairly easy, right? It will be such a relief when the weeds are under control and it's not a battle for all vegetables to survive. But right now, you potentially have a mess, and you need to conquer those weeds so they don't ruin your garden and your life. These are the 5 best steps to take for weed control when your garden is full of weeds. Start with despair, just a little bit. I understand. It's overwhelming. Sit down, lay your head on your knees, and take a deep breath. You can do this. Next, gather mulch. Find a pair of scissors and put on the garden gloves. The mulch is the key ingredient to all weed problems. There are a handful of different choices to choose from, so do the research and stock up on the available mulch in your area or what suits the soil best. You can read more about mulching choices below as well. And don't put on the gloves if a dirt manicure under the fingernails isn't a big deal. You will want to carefully weed around the vegetables. How many times have I been hasty and then said, oops? Finding and locating the rows and individual vegetables will make it easier when the mulch is laid down, and it is always easier to pull weeds when they are at their smallest. So hopefully that's the case, but if not, use the scissors. The scissors or pruning loppers can be used for the weeds that have really taken off and are quite large. The weeds can be pulled, but leaving the roots in the ground actually adds organic matter to the soil and will help break up compacted soil. But remember, it's best to cut off the tops before they go to seed and spread even more. When deciding to pull or cut off a weed, make the decision for what's best in the current situation. Once you have found the rows and veggies and have cut down the monster weeds, get started with that mulch. And truly, don't be stingy. Like I said before, the ground we stand on is modest and deeply desires for its topsoil to be covered. This will be key to a weed-free gardening year. You can watch a detailed mulching video on my channel as well. The benefits of mulching are something that really shouldn't be missed. It keeps the soil cool in the heat of the summer. Underneath the ground will stay moist from the protection of the hot sun and the dry wind, and mulch will also help prevent erosion. And for the sake of the concerns right now, it will keep those pesky weeds under control. And it's never too late to take back control. Just take one moment to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button. You won't be disappointed.